Welcome back to our next video. Joe here again. Conditional formatting is a really great concept for anybody who wants to be able to color code parts of their spreadsheet. The lesson went through several different examples of conditional formatting. I'll be going through the same examples in this video. I'll also be talking about using formula-driven conditional formatting as well. So this topic is conditional formatting. Again, I'm using the sample files that you can download. I'm working on a sheet called Conditional for the first part of this video. Inside this worksheet, it shows a list of different services in a non-for-profit organization. It shows their level of service for 2011 compared to 2012. I've entered a formula in column D that figures out the difference between 2012 compared to 2011. And in column E, I've also done another formula that takes whatever the variance is in column D and divides it by the units of service from 2011. What I want to use the spreadsheet for is to talk about some different examples of using conditional formatting. What conditional formatting allows you to do is to set some color coding based upon the condition that you establish. In our first example, we're going to look at all the numbers in column B. If there's ever a number in column B that is greater than 3,000, I want the system to recognize it and change the color of the cell, the font color, and the background color to make it easily identifiable as something that has met the criteria that I've set. So this is called conditional formatting. It'll change the colors of cells in column B if it meets my condition of being greater than 3,000. So the first step to do conditional formatting is I select the cells that I want to apply conditional formatting to. I'm on the Home tab. I'll move across on the ribbon to Conditional Formatting and click. I get a drop-down list of choices. Now I'm going to do 3 different examples on here to give you a good idea about some different things you can do with conditional formatting. I'm going to point at the first choice, Highlight Cells Rules. And I could use this for finding things that are greater than something, which I will use in a minute, or less than something, between a range of numbers, if there was something that was equal to something, if it contains a certain text, for example. So I'll choose greater than. And when that happens, a greater than window opens, and it does a calculation based upon the contents of the cells that I have in column B. In this case, it says 4,600. And it shows the default color scheme, which is light red fill with dark red text. Now I'm going to change this value over here. There's black background behind the 4,600. The black background means you don't need to click. You can just overtype it. So I'll just type in 3,000. And if you look at the actual spreadsheet, you'll notice that live preview takes place, and it actually shows the cells that meet the criteria or the condition of being greater than 3,000. Now I could use the default color scheme that Excel has chosen, but I'm going to use a different color scheme. So I'll click on the drop-down arrow next to the current color scheme. And there's other choices in here as well. I'm not going to choose any of those. Instead, I'll go to the very bottom where it says Custom Format. It takes me into a Format Cells window. And in this window at the top, I'm active on the tab called Font, which means anything in this column that's over 3,000, greater than 3,000, the font will change to have a different look to it. So I'm going to bold it. I'm going to go to the color box. I'm going to choose a dark purple. So anything over 3,000, the font will be bold, and the font will be the color purple. And in addition to that, I'm going to add a background fill to it. So I'll click on the Fill tab at the top. I'll go towards a lighter color shade, so I'll choose this shade here. That'll be my background shade. Again, on the Font tab, I chose purple here. I'll click OK. I'll click OK. And when I click someplace else on my spreadsheet, I can now see that 3 cells in that column have automatically changed the format based upon the condition of being greater than 3,000. And if you could imagine a much longer list, it gives you the possibility to do what's called a quick thumb analysis. You just look down the list saying, oh, that's good news, good news, good news, and so on. If anything in that column were to change to a different number, and if that number was over 3,000, it'll automatically change to meet the color scheme. So I'll click back in cell B5. I'll type in 3,100. And when I touch enter, it goes back and it checks the condition and it understands that it meets the condition, so it changes the format for me automatically. So it's just a great technique for anybody who wants to color code their spreadsheets and let Excel do most of the work for you. That's one example when you're looking for things that are greater than something, less than something, between something, and so on. Now for the next example, I want to take a look at all the numbers in column D, which is the variance column. If there's ever a number in column D that is greater than or equal to 50, I am very pleased with that result. I want to put a green marker on the left-hand side of the cell. If there's ever a number in that same column that is less than 50 but greater than 10 or equal to 10, I'm pretty happy with that. I want to put a yellow marker in the left-hand side of the cell. If there's ever a number in that variance column that is less than 10, I'm worried about it. I want to put a red marker in it. This will be an example of an icon set rule. There are several icon sets you can work with. In our case, we'll be using one called 3 traffic lights rimmed, green, yellow, and red. Now, before we actually do it, I just want to talk a little bit about what Excel is going to do on our behalf. There's a default setting in Excel when it does icon set rules and conditional formatting. In this example, it'll look at all the cells that we highlight in comparison to each other. Anything in the top 3% is going to get a green marker on it. Anything in the mid-range 3% is going to get a yellow icon in the cell. Anything in the bottom range 3% is going to get a red icon in it on the left-hand side of the cell. So it'll happen automatically. We're going to then go back, or we're going to edit the rule so that anything that is 50 or greater gets green. Anything between 10 and 50 gets yellow. Anything below 10 gets red. So the first step again is to select the cells you want to do conditional formatting for. Then up on the ribbon, I'll click on Conditional Formatting. I'll move down to Icon Sets, and I get a wide range of different icon sets to work with. All of these work exactly the same as the one that we're about to use. I'm going to move across and point at this one here, the green, yellow, and red with a black border. And when I point, it'll say 3 traffic lights rimmed. I'll click, and you can see over in the spreadsheet that Excel automatically puts the colors on using percentages in comparison to all the numbers in this list. I want to change the rules for this conditional formatting example, so I'm going to leave those cells selected. If I did click away from them, I'd have to go back and reselect them again. I'm going to go back up to Conditional Formatting on the ribbon and click. I'm going to choose the bottom choice, Manage Rules. It takes me into a conditional formatting window. There's an icon set rule in place. I want to edit that rule. I'll click on Edit Rule in the top part of the window. And in this Edit Formatting Rule window, I can see at the bottom that it's putting on the colors based upon a percentage. I want to change this to be a numerical rule instead. So I'm going to click on the drop-down box in the bottom right corner where it says percent. I'll choose number. I'll do it on the other box where it says percent. I'll click the drop-down arrow and choose number, and it resets the rule for us. Staying at the bottom of this window in the bottom left-hand corner, I want to put a green marker on when the value is greater than or equal to, I'll change this first 0 to a 50. Then I'll click on the next value box. And then it's going to put a yellow marker on when less than 50. It brings the value from the first box down to this line. So in less than 50 and greater than or equal to, I'll make this a 10. Now, if I was doing this myself, I would go right to the OK button, but I want you to see this last line change, so it's just an extra step. It can't change right now because I'm still active in this part of the window. If I go back up to where the 50 is and click, it'll realize I'm done in this box. It'll then update the last row. It'll say put a red marker on when less than 10. So greater than, equal to 50, green, less than 50 but greater than or equal to 10, yellow, less than 10, put a red marker on. And I'm done. I'll click OK. I'll click OK. And when I click away from here, it now puts on icons for me, green over 50, red below 10, yellow over 10, and so on. Just makes a nice visual for my audience so they can quickly see those things that are good news compared to those things that are okay news compared to those things that are not so good news. Now, I might want to put a legend on for this. So to do this, I'm going to come over to cell G5, and I'm going to type in a value that would meet the criteria of being over 50. I'll type in 51. I'll touch Enter. I'm going to type in the next cell a value that will meet the criteria of being greater than 10, but not 50, or not greater than 50. I'll put 11 in there. And then in the third cell, I'll put in a value that will meet the criteria of being less than 10. I'll put a 9 in here. And I'll touch Enter. I'll move to the right over to cell H5 and just type in greater than, equal 50. This is just text. The next one, greater than, equal 10. and the last one less than 10. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to put icons in these 3 cells. So I'm going to select these 3 cells. I'm going to go to conditional formatting, to icon sets, 3 traffic lights rimmed. It puts colors on for us automatically based upon looking at these cells in comparison to each other using percentages. I'll go back to conditional formatting on the ribbon and click. I'll choose Manage Rules. I'll edit the rule. I'll change the rule to be number rules rather than percent rules. Greater than equal to 50. Greater than equal to 10. And then in the same window, I don't want the numbers to show up. Don't forget, I've got numbers in those columns right now. I'm going to click on Show Icon Only, which means it'll just show the icons. It will not show the values. I'll click OK. I'll click OK. And the last step is I'll just center align those cells by going up to the ribbon, clicking on Center. And now I've got a bit of a legend that shows people in my spreadsheet that green is 50 or greater, yellow is greater than 10, greater or equal to 10, and red is less than 10. So it just helps them understand what the markings mean on the spreadsheet. So that's a really good example of showing good news, not so good news, and some worrisome news by using icon sets. The third example I want to go through is doing data bars. Data bars is a really fast, easy way to do conditional formatting. And what this does, it shows your audience big numbers compared to small numbers. We're going to ask the system to look in column C at all the numbers in column C. The bigger the number, the more background shading. The smaller the number, the less background shading. So it's a nice way to visually show your audience big numbers compared to small numbers. I'm going to first of all select the cells in column C. I'm going to go to conditional formatting on the ribbon and click. I'll move down to data bars. I'll get 12 different choices. I'm just going to hover over tops of different choices to see which one I like. You can see over in the spreadsheet that the background shades are showing up. The larger the number, the more background shading. I'll choose this choice here. And when I click away from here, I now have big bars for the big values, smaller bars for the smaller values. So again, it's a nice way to show big numbers compared to small numbers. Now, I probably wouldn't show all 3 of these conditional formatting on the same spreadsheet. It's gotten pretty busy. So I'm now going to take off some conditional formatting on the cells in column B. So I'm going to select the cells in column B where I want to remove the conditional formatting. Then up on the ribbon, I'll click on conditional formatting again. I'll move down to clear rules. And I could choose the second choice, which would take the conditional formatting off the entire spreadsheet. Instead, I'm going to choose the first choice, clear rules from selected cells. And when I do that, the conditional formatting has been removed from the cells in column B. So those are 3 examples of conditional formatting. The first examples were when you use conditional formatting to highlight cells that are greater than a certain value. The second example is using icon sets to show a range of different colors based upon some conditions that you set. And the third one is using data bars to quickly show your audience big numbers compared to small numbers. I want to continue with conditional formatting. I'll be staying in the same sample files, but this time I'm going to move to a different worksheet. So I'm going to go down to the sheet at the bottom called Pass Fail to do this next part. In this spreadsheet is a list of different students, and it shows their grade. Now the grade for this course, the pass for this course is a 60 or greater. What I want to do in this case is I want to color code the students' names based upon whether they have a 60 or not. So if they got a 60 or greater, I want to color code this over here to show that they did pass the course. In the previous example, we were doing conditional formatting on the actual cells that we had selected. In this case, we're going to use a formula to determine whether to conditionally format a cell or not. We want to conditionally format the cells in column A if the condition is met, and the condition will be if the numbers in column B are greater than or equal to 60. So this time, we're going to select the cells that we want to put the conditional formatting on, which in this case is the name of the students. And then I'll go to conditional formatting and click. I'll move down to New Rule. And in this New Rule window, I'm going to choose the choice that says Use a formula to determine which cells to format. What I want to be able to do is to conditionally format these cells over here based upon a formula that's going to look at the numbers in column B. So I clicked on use the formula to determine which cells to format. Then lower down the window below where it says format values where this formula is true, I'll put in a formula. Now a formula does require an equal sign, so I'll type that in. I'll type in B4, which is the first student's grade, a greater than symbol, an equal sign, and the number 60. So I'm testing to see if B4 is greater than or equal to 60. Now the system will know enough that when I finish this off, the next one would be if B5 is greater than or equal to 60, then B6 greater than or equal to 60, and so on. So that's the format, or that's the formula I'm using to identify whether I want to do conditional formatting on another part of the spreadsheet. I'm now going to go to the Format button in the bottom right-hand corner and click. And in this window, I'm on the Font tab. I'm going to bold anything in column A where the formula in column B is 60 or greater. I'm going to change the color of the font to be a purple color. I'm going to change the fill color to be a light pink color, and I'll click OK. So if B4 is greater than or equal to 60, it will change the color of A4. Now that's not going to change because that doesn't meet the condition, but the second one will change to be the color. I'll click OK, and I'll click away from here, and you can now see that this person met the criteria of being 60 or greater. This one did as well. Now if for some reason I made a mistake on here and I didn't put the right grade in, if I go here to this person and type in 59, for example, and enter, it goes back and it takes off the conditional formatting. So sometimes you want to do conditional formatting by using a formula, so you're going to test on a different part of the spreadsheet and change a different part of the spreadsheet based upon the condition or the formula condition being met. That's an example of formula-driven conditional formatting.